Absolutely. Absolutely. You see, when you say hounded out, it doesn't represent the facts at all. It's not a good rendition. Yes, I appreciate that as lawyers, we can, and that's the art of persuasion, we use different words and come from different perspectives. But cut to the chase. What we are confronted with is a case of a Chief Justice who spent over 300,000 Ghana cedis illegally. You don't call that hounding out. That actually is an insult to millions of our citizens who don't earn even 100,000 Ghana cedis the whole year. That's an insult. Evans, you earn 100,000 Ghana cedis a year. What is it? Winifred, you earn 100,000 the whole year. It's an insult to millions of citizens. Let's stop this. You see, you can advocate for her. You see, I've been supporting her that as for her right to get the prima facie ruling and the right to be accompanied by at least 2 people, I will always defend it. But you don't go and say somebody who has spent over 300,000 illegally. You trivialize the issue. And you mentioned Sophia Akufo. But we made it very clear to my dearest Sophia Akufo that, yes, we support her. I never come here without mentioning her name, at least in the past 1 year. Yeah, a little over 1 year, we've been extolling her virtues. But when this matter came, we pointed out to her that, oh, dear Sophia Akufo, this one, dear, we part ways. And you see there, I can understand why she thinks it's not serious. While she was in office, she also did the same thing.
What do you mean by she did the same thing?
Oh, that thing was there. What
thing are you talking about?
I'm talking about this travel with a relation. Sophia Akufo did it. Eniyebua did it. The audit report asked Eniyebua's wife to refund some money. It's a public document.
There's specific documentation
that audit
regarding
report.
This particular
yes, because this matter, the more you trivialize it, then the more we must state the facts very clearly. Because when you do that, then you are insulting those of us who are trying to hold people accountable. That's an insult. Check the audit report. Eniyebua's wife was asked to refund money. That's the breach.
So why wasn't she asked to refund money?
Who?
So your own Sophia Akufo
Eniyebu had left office. So why were you
your
going
own
to do?
Sophia Akufo has made the point. You can't respect somebody in the day and disrespect them in the night.
It's
the same principle.
Disrespect, disagreement.
The point is,
please.
Kofi, your
no. The same point is making. When you welcome me, consistency is key.
Which inconsistency?
She said this was normal.
How can you just?
The audit report in the case of Justice Torkornoo exonerated
propaganda is high.
And please, no. We've gone through this. And just like you're saying, when you have these infractions, a refund is necessary. And your beloved Sophia Akufo, who I also respect, says that it does not rise to the point.
It's not for her to say.
It's not for her to say. She has been there.
Constitution that
she has been there, done that.
Now let me say, it's not for Sophia.
She has been there and done that.
Just for public
So
education.
continue to respect her and agree with her.
This audit reports. Which specific audit report are you referring to? Please, hold on.
Oh.
I just want you to.
Yes. Auditor General's audit report. Oh, we had copies. They were shared. It's an audit report. Okay, as we go on, I'll pull it out. Okay. Perfect. So let's make the point, but that's not denial. So this is what happened. Let's this is state the facts clearly so that we understand this case. So this is what happens under the Constitution, Article 71, right? Under Article 71. The president determines the conditions of service of Chief Justice, except many people,
yes, sir,
based on the recommendations of a committee of 5 persons. Then Parliament determines the emoluments of the president, vice versa. But I'm saying that under 71, it is for the president to determine on the advice of the committee, right? So now, just briefly, so that people can follow shortly. The salaries and allowances payable and the facilities and privileges available to, then let's go B, Chief Justice and the other justices of the Superior Court of Judicature shall be being expended, blah, blah. So that's the thing, right? So we're saying that for the Chief Justice to have the privilege to travel with her daughter or her husband, is it in what the president approved? Simple. And the Constitution is the highest law. So the judiciary went and made an illegal policy. They went and made an illegal policy where now she can go with security detail, and then sometimes they say when it is, when it is an official trip, then it is relaxed because presumably there will be security there. So I'm saying that The simple argument, what the committee held.
The policy?
The judiciary, they did. The Judicial Council. Yeah, so we are saying it's an illegality because
because that policy was inconsistent with the provision of.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Oh, please.
I just needed a clarification on that.
So 71 says the president should determine. So the point is that if you go and open the Buando report, Irama, Green Street, all of those reports, what the president approved, did it include travel with your daughter or your husband? Respectfully, no. That is where the illegality comes from. So it doesn't matter that the Judicial Council went and did an illegality. So for Akufo benefited from it, any Ebua benefited from it, right? And now Ghanaians are becoming wiser. I say, now we've become wiser. People are looking for accountability all over. And they went and discovered it. And some citizens brought it up. And the committee looked and said, it is not borne out. And thankfully for us, even before Torkornoo was taken to court, in the Abronye DC case, Torkornoo held that they cannot give the spouses of the president and the vice president. So she had earlier on ruled that it is not borne out by 71. So the committee was simply adopting precedent that Torkornoo herself has set up. And I'm saying that, please, you insult Evans, you insult Winifred, you insulted millions of Ghanaians when you come and say spending over 300,000 Ghana cedis is a trifling. And I've told you. So you see, from day one, I said, no, this one, I disagree with Sophia Akufo violently. Violently, I disagree with her. Yeah, she can be lucky that when she did it, it didn't bring her consequences. But the fact that an illegality is repeated endlessly doesn't make it legal. She is lucky that she got away with it. But that doesn't then mature into now, asking that it's legal. The question is that, is it borne out by 71? Please, let's not do this. Because the more we say, oh, she was just hounded, what are the facts? Look, and the principle is that if it was even 1 Ghana cedis, please, it's the same principle. And let's not forget this hounding now. Remember me, the first day Joy FM, they interviewed me. They said, Kpebu, what would have been your advice, or if you're a lawyer to the Chief Justice, what would you advise? That very first day, looking at the facts, I said, I would have told her, resign. Resign, because I didn't see how she could win the case. You've bought the ticket. With hindsight, we are becoming wiser that, okay, maybe in future, can we categorize the offenses so that things like that, maybe a refund. Ayarga said it on the floor of Parliament.
So categorizing the offenses, there's a particular threshold that would warrant.
Yes,
is there no mechanism now to determine the threshold that would warrant?
No, right now there isn't. So Ayarga, the majority leader, Mama Ayarga, said they will come out with one. Right. And don't forget, you're calling something hounding up. This is a person that the president was willing to put aside a Supreme Court decision. Remember, ADG brought it. What's the name of the justice? No, that said that when they start, you cannot resign. But we sat here and kept making noise that no, JM should allow him to resign. JM should allow him to resign. And I understand, we're told on authority that some eminent citizens even intervened, and then JM agreed that she should bring a resignation. This is a nation that was willing to let her go gracefully. But she chose to fight on. How do you win this case? You've already bought a ticket. Which lawyer? How can a lawyer win such a case? So the point is that this is somebody the president had bent over backwards. JM had bent over backwards to save her from disgrace. And she spanned it. She spanned it to hell with your offer of a resignation. I'll fight in court. And today you've been removed and we have no tears for Torkornoo. No, let's not do this. Let's be.
I said hounded, he was saying my words were harsh. He's using the term illegality. They are administrative infractions. They don't rise to the point of illegality where you're using a criminal,
who says illegality is restricted to criminal law? No. Every breach of a law is an illegality.
No, hold on.
I didn't say criminal illegality. Every breach of a rule, even TV3, the rule is that
if somebody commits an administrative infraction, which
it's an illegality.
Whatever, but you are also using a very strong word.
You see?
Yes, you are also using a very strong word.
So am I getting to go into that?
It's intimidating.
Exactly. Because today, why you are doing. So look, my key point.
To that bit about the convention that had been established by this particular policy, which you identify as inconsistent with 71.
So the Supreme Court has a decision, Georgina Woodson. That's the famous thing, that if you repeat something illegal for over, is it 100 years? It cannot ripen into...
Attorney General.
Thank you. It cannot ripen to legality. That's why I said, yes, first we used to revere them, but use more. You see, as the society is growing bigger, and we are becoming wiser and more knowledge, we are beginning to hold even the Supreme Court to account. So maybe that's how comes of Kufu and Yebua got away with it. But by the time Torkornoo came, no, citizens have become more alert.
Right.
She was just unfortunate. But the president bent over backwards to receive a resignation. And you embarrass the president, embarrass the emissaries who were, embarrass us also here, who that day, when Edwige pulled the Supreme Court decision, my face became long. Because I've been here drumming that Torkornoo be allowed to resign. Torkornoo, then when the Edwige pulled out the Supreme Court decision, it had been long. And it's a 2015 decision. Lawyers from time to time, you forget. My face became long, but I didn't relent. I continued that. Lawyers quickly, you think on your feet. So I said to every rule, there's an exception. Senior Asare agreed. Many Ghanaians agreed. The president agreed. You spanned it.
Has she done anything wrong by pursuing rights?
So she should continue. She should continue. So can we get to talk about the ECOWAS court?
Yes.
So the ECOWAS court, I'm sure I can only make 2 points because time is running out. So when I read, so the ECOWAS court, I can imagine because time is gone, I can make only 2 points. Now on the ECOWAS court, I read the part about the prima facie ruling. That's what I'm interested in.
Okay, good. This is the prima facie ruling part.
That's the point one. Because
whether it should be raised.
Yes, that's the relief one. Her right to a fair trial. So she says she has a right to fair trial. Many things. The one
prima facie examination did not violate fair hearing principle. This one.
Yes. So when you read the judgment, at a point, the commission, or let's call it the court for easy reference, at a point they conceded that whether she has a right to rate or not is subject to Ghanaian law. So Ghanaian law will determine. Then after that, they now went ahead and said, well, so meaning that she hasn't established it for them to see that she's entitled to rate. So there's no violation.
To fair hearing?
Yes.
You don't have to prove that you're entitled to fair hearing.
No.
It's natural.
Now you have to.
You have to prove that it was denied you.
Yes.
But you don't have to prove that you are entitled to it.
But she failed to do that.
That it was denied her. So she gave 3 or 4. Let's just repeat. As I said, that Edukusi was excluded the first day, which is true, but eventually when they went to it, they said there was no violation.
In fact, the committee actually provided a record of proceeding, and the question was put to the lawyer. And his answer was no.
Can you bind? Yes. So the question they asked Edukusi was that, can you bind her? I mean, in terms of witnesses, etc. Said no. So that's why they excluded, right? But my key one, the one we are looking forward to, that our Supreme Court should nail it for us. This is the thing. The one Edukusi said, the committee asked the Edukusi that. So this is what they say. The court has carefully examined the said record and finds that it does not support the applicant's characterization of event. The court observed that at the time when the committee saw the applicant's counsel's concurrence on matters relating to the conduct of the proceedings on behalf of the applicant, that's Justice Torkornoo, and asked whether he can bind the respondent as to procedure to be adopted, counsel expressly declined to provide such approval, stating, "My lord, I cannot." So it means that your lawyer comes to court and the business they are to conduct, they say, "Can you bind her? Do you represent her?" You say, "I cannot." Then, so that's the basis of. So the lawyer couldn't say that, yes, I have the instructions of Torkornoo to bind her, to represent her fully. He said, "I cannot." So that's how come they excluded him. It gives a reasonable answer, but I said, my main thing to land, my thing is about the prima facie determination. Yes. And as I mentioned, the commission or court at a point stated that it is to be determined under Ghanaian law, or it's Ghanaian law that will show.
Yes.
And that she couldn't show under Ghanaian law that it is a right to be entitled to a reasoned hearing. So since the Supreme Court will deal with it on the 2nd of July, I'll hold my horses, because for us, for administrative justice, etc., it's good to have a reasoned ruling. Look at that beautiful thing Akufo Addo signed. the one Asare presented that Torkornoo be removed, the first petition. See, Akufo Addo came out with a long ruling. We read it. Then you see there was meat in it. Then we say, yes, here we agree, there we disagree. That's how we should build a nation, especially in view of the fact that as far back as 2003, 2004, the Chachuchikata case, they said, when you have authority to make a decision concerning somebody, and you don't give the reasons, you open yourself up to accusations of bias. Speculation. Malice, that this is just a malicious thing. You just want to get rid of the person. You see, so once the Supreme Court itself had said in 2003, 2004 Supreme Court of Ghana law report, that if you don't give reasons, these are the things that come. I think we should hold that line. Hold that line firmly. So we should accept that, yes, the failure to give Torkornoo the reasoned ruling is not on, but it doesn't mean that she automatically wins the case or that the petitions be thrown out because she didn't get the ruling. But as for that one, July 2nd, when I see the Supreme Court judgment, I want to see what they say.
What are you expecting?
Oh, I'm expecting that they will say that one is a breach. If they don't, we will keep advocating here so that we improve the law. I have a seat here today because there were laws that were in our books and everybody said they were lawful, And I came, just about 9 years at the bar, and wow, small, pam. Then the Supreme Court changed the laws. So even if they come July 2nd, they say there's no right to a reasoned ruling, we will disagree and continue to advocate because you want administrative justice to move forward. Don't just say, I've read the petitions, I find that there is prima facie, so go before the committee. No, give. Ground one, look at the Akufo Addo template. It's online, you remember?
Right.
And Nebuchadnezzar. But you see that when he did well, that one we are praising him. We're praising Nebuchadnezzar.
Council, you know that you could have actually said this.
You want me to say Mampam? You could have said this Mampam. You are now
there's an injunction against you from using that.
Exactly. You could have said this without.
Akufo is my friend. It's like leather senior.
Okay, these are the four cases that
there's a restraining order.
The four cases that you referenced, which have been consolidated and the ruling on July 2,
yes,
would also give another direction to this case.
Yes.
Is this for the one by Vincent Ekwasifua,
yes, a lawyer,
and then also is the member of parliament for the Otafo constituency. Then the Center for Citizenship, Constitutional and Electoral Systems, Theodore Kofi Atta, and then one by get to Torkornoo, her leadership herself. Yes. And then this is the panel, right, that will sit on July 2 to determine this consolidated cases.
Tanko is on the panel. Oh, yes. Then you expect fireworks to be a blockbuster, eh?
Why do you call this blockbuster?
Yeah, it will be a blockbuster.
So there you have it. It's a 7-member panel.
This is a very interesting panel.
Yes, so you have His Lordship Justice Amadou Tanko, Justice Emmanuel Yoni Kulendi, His Lordship Justice Henry Anthony Kofi, His Lordship Justice Senyo Jamepe, His Lordship Justice Sedome Denise J, Her Ladyship Justice Hafisa Amaleboba. It's a case that she sat on when in law school you were friends. And then also His Lordship Bail Simon Sobire in there. Now, I come with quick on this. Right. There would have been some convention that has been established as a result of a policy passed or a policy that has been adopted by the Judicial Council from the understanding that Kpebu gives. But if it's inconsistent with the provision of the Constitution, it cannot be justified in any way.
Right. The most important point that I want to highlight here is that the NPP has never in any way exhibited the will to protect any individual who has gone foul of the law or has been found guilty of in any way taking the purse of this country for granted. Our quest has been based on the independence of our legal framework. And that is what we have been forcefully pushing. I am kind of scandalized as a new soul in the legal fraternity, where we seek to make pronouncements before we come into power, and then seek to go by the very words we professed on our campaign platforms. Fifi Viavi Korte accused the then Chief Justice on appointment of justices to the Superior Court of Judicature. Sammy Gyamfi highlighted on the scheduling of political cases at the Supreme Court, haunted the Chief Justice at that time that she would be removed when they are voted for.
Sammy Gyamfi said that?
What he said is what I have said.
No.
But impliedly, they loudly...
You mentioned Fifi and Sammy Gyamfi for clarity. I beg you, so I can respond, please.
Please,
Mr. Mekutuka.
Because Sammy is not here, I'm acting for him.
I'm asking.
Are you his lawyer?
Yes.
Hold on.
You
you referenced two individuals. Which one of them specifically made the comment that the former Chief Justice will be removed?
You didn't allow me to finish with my sentence. What I said was, he said, and if he didn't say so, let me know.
No,
he critiqued. So let me finish my point. He critiqued the then Chief Justice on the aspect of scheduling of political cases. He also critiqued the then Chief Justice of appointments of nominations of justices to the Superior Court of Judicature. Impliedly, and they shouted loud, impliedly, the impression created at that time was that the Chief Justice was going to be removed. And same impression was also mounted on the EC.
So you're saying two different things now. So there was no specific statement made by any of the two persons.
Let me make my point.
That the Chief Justice would be removed.
I said implied. That came out loud and clear.
You got that kind of reasoning from statements made, but no specific statement was made for a removal. I think I just needed to establish that as a matter of fact.
You have the right to do so, but I am espousing the point and reiterating the point that impression was made loud and clear by the NDC stalwarts that the Chief Justice was going to be removed when they come into power. And that impression has been practicalized. Now, well, let me say that the Community Court of Justice of the Economic Community of West Africa State never ruled on the entire matter that is to be determined by the justices that you've shown to your viewers. It's mentioned or ruled on the human rights aspect of it. And no constitutional declaration was made. So let me establish that. No constitutional declaration was made.
Well, they ruled on the specific, I don't understand what you mean by that.
It's not just human rights. Some of the things are constitutional. The primary facie is a constitutional matter.
How is it constitutional?
It's in the constitution.
You see, the matter that was put before the community court was generally on the human rights.
No.
So
you see, when you use human rights,
the ruling is just 68 pages.
So don't let us create an impression that the court in any way endorsed a certain political question.
Which political question? There was no political question before.
Will you allow me to make my point, please?
Gentlemen, hold on. There were specific questions or reliefs that the court had to respond to. The court cannot answer a question that is not before it.
Octopus.
Yes.
So there was no political doctrine question before the
but
court.
that is as if, I mean, we've won a battle at the community court. Meanwhile, the same government had even challenged the jurisdiction of the court. Did you follow the matter? When the ruling was made on even the jurisdiction of the court, nobody came out to even talk about it. But in November 2025, the first interim measures was dismissed. Same court dismissed that interim measure that was put before it by Torkornoo. The second front is what we've witnessed today. Mine is that, yes, I will not condone and connive with any, body seeking to kind of take this country for granted. But you may be comparing apples to mangoes when you say somebody is earning maybe 1,000 Ghana a year, and because somebody is also earning or has in a way practically within the remit of her responsibilities, that is wider in terms of base, has legally consumed, which has not been proven otherwise, 300,000. So we incite the public against the person.
No, what do you mean by if that has been legally consumed and otherwise not proven?
Yes, so if I ask you, how much are you earning in a year? And if it is not up to 100,000, and therefore somebody has alleged that I've spent 300,000, it means the person, because you don't earn 100,000 a year, the person must be kind of, in a way, put behind bars.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Like the question my junior brother and senior lawyer just posed to the lady is what I'm talking about.
Which is what?
Which is that because she's not earning 100,000, then Torkornoo, having spent 300,000, must be found guilty.
The context of that analogy was that we don't have to seek to water down or belittle the quantum involved.
But you need to situate that in proper perspective.
That's what
is the role of Torkornoo, and what's the role of the lady you asked? And if in any way you find a way of rubbing in that, yes, 100,000, if it is even 1 cedi, is money. But you don't kind of create an impression that people are sitting somewhere, there is a political group sitting somewhere to water down or downplay 300,000, whilst you know that the role of a chief justice could even utilize 300,000 a day per the responsibility assigned to that office. So why must you come and sit here and say that because you are earning 1,000 and somebody has spent maybe 300,000 on an assignment, that person must be found guilty?
An assignment, or the husband an assignment?
Let's allow the judiciary to be independent.
And so go and do
rather
that.
than sitting somewhere to create an, make it or politicize the judiciary, because you are forcefully putting yourself in, as you mentioned on your platforms in the electioneering campaign. That is where you forcefully critiqued Torkornoo. You came and hounded him, and somebody is talking about it, and you are not even allowing the person to express himself. Has she been found guilty as of now? So why are we doing this?
Guilty of what?
Guilty of what has been presented to the Supreme Court. Has the ruling been made?
What? Okay.
In terms of prima facie, we've gone past that stage. What is to be determined on the is it on the 1st or 2nd of July? 2nd of July. What is to be determined? I'm asking you.
The reliefs being sought has nothing specifically to do with being found guilty? I mean, in that context, I should put it, it's challenging her removal. But
yes.
really.
But so
when you talk about she being found guilty of and you know, I hope, and I know you know, because, you know the processes of Article 146.
Yes. That was invoked. That was hinged on the petition.
Process
146, yeah.
The entire removal process went through what is stipulated in there. There had to be a committee that was established to investigate.
We've gone past all these things.
Establish whether there was basis for the removal. What guilt are you talking about? I just want to understand.
The guilt of what Martin mentioned, of about the 300,000.
Okay.
It forms part of the reliefs that is sent before the Supreme Court. If it is not part, let us know why is she being removed. That is the capital on which they are basing the argument on. And that is my worry, that we sit here. In future, if we don't in any way define the independence of the judiciary, in future we may have these processes being raised by other individuals who are politically induced. And that is why I am scandalized to see situations of this nature, especially where people in their loudest form sought to in any way persecute the woman before they even assume the realms of power. And same group of people who are in this government, doing same. So we need to be careful in this dispensation. I am sad that it's spanning out this way, but I don't know Madam Torkornoo from anywhere. Any justice or a chief justice of the Superior Court of Judicature, I also respect. I respect them. Those who have been appointed to that platform, I humbly, as a student of law and as a lawyer, I will always respect them. I mean, the names that you've outlined here, they are respected, justices of this country. And whatever verdict they come out with will be a lesson to learn. But my worry is some of us, when we get the platform and talking about the law, we need to be careful. Not in any way incite the youth against democracy. Otherwise, we may be taken for granted one day. We shouldn't forget 1979. We shouldn't forget 81. All these things are lessons for us to learn.
Okay. Thank you. July 2 is a date to watch on this, on the ruling. You say it's going to be a blockbuster.
Yeah.
It's one. Let's do Tamaklo.
Yeah.
I'm expecting it to be a blockbuster.
the ECOWAS court's position as per the reliefs that the former Chief Justice sought from the courts, and then also what's going to be happening on July 2. Counsel, quickly.
Okay. So, once again, I want to say this. You see, in the 1960s, something happened with the trial of Tawi Adamafiu and co.
Yeah.
And after that decision, the President of the Republic was not happy because these were persons that were considered to be involved in a coup d'etat against him. So after the acquittal and discharge, the report indicates that the President was not happy. And that eventually led to the removal of the Chief Justice then. And so fast forward 1979 Constitution, a provision was put in the Constitution to ensure that justices of the Superior Court will not be removed in the conduct of their work. It is to provide that security of tenure when they act. That provision was repeated in the 1992 Constitution, the basis of Article 146, the security of tenure provisions. And it is clear a judge in the performance of his core duties cannot be removed. So if today a decision comes and the president is not happy, the president cannot say on the basis of this, I am doing this action. No. And so Article 146 then introduced the grounds on the basis on which a justice of the Superior Court can be removed. In the specific case, yes.
If the president...
No. Yes.
I should go for it?
Yeah, go to number 1.
Okay, I'll pull that up.
146. And so you notice, and because you see, this is a serious platform. And by way of public education, we need to carry our people along by way of public education. So it is because of our checkered history we introduce this particular constitutional provision. And let me say this. Attempts at removing a justice or a chief justice or whatsoever is not a recent happening. In fact, the record will show that Chief Justice Apalu, when he was a High Court judge, okay, Chief Justice Apalu, when he was a High Court judge, was a member of the Commission of Inquiry that investigated Nkrumah's appointees. And banned, eventually the CPP was banned. So the idea was that when the CPP element came back under Liman, there was an attempt to pay back, to get him into Parliament when the new Supreme Court was created, by saying that, well, if you were the head of the judiciary at that time, come back to Parliament for your, so that the CPP elements who are now part of Liman will use that platform to say we disapprove of you in Parliament. A young lecturer at KNUST, Dr. Amwaku Tufo, approached the Supreme Court, through which today the locus classicus Tufo and Attorney General was established. Look, the Ghana Bar Association also attempted to remove Chief Justice Aban. But when they realized that they could not get a prima facie through Article 146, they couched the same grounds as relief for the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, through Kpebu, Adorye, and Co., cleverly saw that this was a removal attempt couched to look as a constitutional, interpretation matter. So quickly have it dismissed. Again, there was an attempt to remove Aqua by the respected Bright Akwete that founded Ajechum. And so the point ought to be made very clear that from 1979, there had always been one attempt, no, but I am just talking about how those attempts had been judicially, stopped or one way or the other. So that's basically it. You see, this morning...
But in those moments, announcements were not made on political platforms.
Can I proceed?
You may.
So one thing that is clear and without ambiguity is that for the removal of Chief Justice Torkornoo, she was not, the recommendation for her removal was not because of a judicial pronouncement. That is what the law forbids. That is what the Constitution does not allow. On this platform, nobody has put out there that Chief Justice Torkornoo was removed because he made a judgment against somebody or the other. Nobody whatsoever.
But Sammy made an impeachment pronouncement on a political platform.
Please.
You see, I listened to you, and at a point, I don't know what you were talking about, but I knew I'll have my time. What is also not in doubt is that if you look at the initial conversation of this whole process, if you recall, when Vincent Assefuwa first went to the court, his accusation or prayer at that time was that Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, had not been given a copy of the petition. No long The Chief Justice herself, then now removed, wrote to the president requesting for copies of the petition. And if you look at the ECOWAS court decision, they addressed that. That as at the time, the prima facie determination was made, she had a copy of the petition. In fact, she wanted a few days. The president graciously gave even more days so she could prepare adequately her defense. So that also not in doubt. Two, the argument has also been made that her ladyship, the Chief Justice, was denied the opportunity to put out her case. That the ECOWAS court also found to be inaccurate. The other contention that was made was that, listen, the determination of a prima facie and her suspension is made and not mandatory. And though, to the extent that there was a may in that Article 146, the President or the Council of State in exercising that power ought to have come out with a CI, because Article 296 provides where discretionary power is given to a person other than the judge, that exercise of discretionary power must be construed within the confines of a constitutional instrument. What is not in doubt is that, if you recall, in the case of Héll versus the Attorney General, the pardoning of the Muntie 3, that was the contention. That by reason of Article 72 on pardoning, you needed, that was the contention Héll made in that case, that because the president may remit or pardon, he needed to have come out with a CI. The Supreme Court, speaking through Justice Bennett, had this to say, that to the extent that that made decision is done in consultation with, or in accordance with, or on the advice of, the requirement of a CI is not needed. So that has also been properly addressed by our Supreme Court. And so if you look, of all the issues that were raised point by point, have been adequately, judiciously addressed. So what really is the point? You see, this morning, I've heard and I've listened to my brother said, oh, in future, a president would conduct or do this or do that. You see, all this Torkornoo thing, for me, the lesson to all public servants is that when public service is entrusted in your care, remember their rules of engagement and deal within those rules. The view has been expressed today that previous Chief Justices had conducted themselves in a particular manner. And so that conduct has crystallized into a lawful conduct.
There was a convention established because of a policy.
Nobody said that.
Exactly. So exactly my point. I deliberately couched it for your reverse, answer. Because I knew that would be your answer. Because we know
he's trying to be the chief propagandist.
We know by law, there's no way an illegal conduct or unlawful conduct can crystallize into legality. There's no way. Even if it's repeated. In fact, if you recall, when the coalition of civil society sued the Attorney General in respect of Domelevo's removal, the argument the Attorney General at that time did was that President Mills, of blessed memory, wrote to the then Auditor General Duajima also on the accumulated leave. And for that matter, Akufo Addo doing same was lawful. Yeah. The Supreme Court said no. To the extent that that conduct, there is no way precedents can be found on it, even if it's repeated 100 times. Again, Sophia, Judge Nawood in the ex parte Richard Anani decision also repeated the same thing. So there is enough constitutional basis for this, you understand. But you see, this morning, I've seen that Mrekuduka went back, forth. First he started with Fifi Kwete. Then he came to Sammy Gyamfi, and then it's all over the place. You see, let's not do this to ourselves.
I thought you didn't understand what I said.
Unless, of course, we are saying Sammy Gyamfi anticipated, or Fifi Kwete anticipated, or Eduji anticipated that the Chief Justice was going to travel with a daughter and husband? Clairvoyance.
Excellent.
Clairvoyance. No, you are basically telling me that Samuel Gyamfi or Honorable Fifi Kwete anticipated that now removed Chief Justice was going to travel with the daughter or was going to travel with the husband, contrary to a policy. But you see, you remember the Chief Justice. There was a time, public conversation about pronouncement of the court. When she had the opportunity to address the public, you know what she told us? He said the law is the law. And repeated it again, that the law is the law. Why are we making excuses? Why are we making excuses this morning? Look, me, the office I hold, it's a public office governed by rules of engagement. It tells you to be mindful. I recall vividly the removal of Charlotte Osei. When the issue came up that she was going to be removed on the basis of procurement breaches, some of us said, The framers of the Public Procurement Act anticipated criminal consequences when there are breaches. However, they first said when there is a breach, that breach should first be what? The Public Procurement Authority should be informed of that breach. They will set up a committee. The committee will investigate. Upon that establishment, the PPA can take a decision, one, to abrogate the contract, rectify the contract, or even do what they call rectification. That then the criminal consequences follows. When this issue came, we said, a person holding that constitutional office of electoral commissioner, if the misconduct or the misdeed flows directly from her conduct as an electoral commissioner, then you can find a basis for her removal. At that time, Mrekuduka and Co., in justifying President Akufo Addo's decision to remove her, told us that who the hell is Charlotte Osei?
Was it President Akufo Addo's decision?
Please. This morning,
workers
you see,
of Electoral Commission raised
Daniel Ofori is a card-bearing member of NDC. Please, do you know what is happening?
No, why are you saying that it was Akufo Addo's
the petitioner for the removal?
Did Akufo Addo petition? Okay.
No,
did Akufo Addo
but this morning you were mentioning Samuel Gyamfi. I knew I'll get you. This morning you were mentioning Fifi Kwete and Samuel Gyamfi.
But was did Akufo Addo in any way petition?
Who removed her?
The law. You mentioned the law.
So who removed Gertrude?
Gertrude because Sammy Gyamfi mentioned impeachment of Gertrude.
The devil is not your friend this morning.
Because he mentioned
it. The devil is honorable this morning.
He predicted it.
Even the devil is honorable.
That was what they were going to do when he had power. Akufo Addo never petitioned anybody. So why are you mentioning Akufo Addo? So
let the point be made clear. Any attempt by any group of persons to insinuate that her ladyship, Gertrude Torkornoo, was hounded out of office, it's not born out of the facts or the records.
Okay.
Look, I recall vividly, and myself and Malene Senior, on this same platform, we discussed this adequately. What was the issue then? In the midst of the hearing, I am aware of emissaries.
You see?
Emissaries, prominent people in this republic who approach the president and say, look, Mr. President, the woman says, or whatever, will resign. So she will be entitled to a benefit among other things. Even when the law says once an impeachment proceeding commences, you cannot resign because then you overreach the process. The president was willing to oblige. This should tell you this is a president who has no interest whatsoever in the proceedings.
So the president was willing to flout the law? Is that what you are saying?
To even allow, for a greater good, to allow her.
Yes.
That is how magnanimous, merciful John Mahama.
Yes.
Akufo Addo could not exercise that judgment.
It's up to you.
The person you used to worship, could never exercise that judgment.
Your own party had mentioned that you are going to impeach the Chief Justice.
Please.
And you are here, magnanimity.
You see, you talk about, you see, I do not want to go back so that I dignify what you are doing with equalization. Yeah. Why were we not in this country about Charlotte Osei and the rest?
She didn't even get a copy of the petition.
Yes.
Who was please?
And you know the person who established a prima facie against Charlotte Osei, Sophia Akufo. I don't want to talk about her. I have great respect. Please, I beg you. I have great respect. She alone, please,
your friend has
please, she alone made a determination of prima facie against Charlotte Osei. Today she has a problem.
But not the Akufo.
Oh, please. Why are you doing
this? There was specific.
I'm just asking a question.
You see, the point, very well. The point I'm making is that she, Sophia Akufo, alone, as a Chief Justice, made a prima facie determination against Charlotte Osei, and it was lawful. Today, her colleagues, members of Council of State, makes a determination, and she isolates herself and say the decision of the collective. I mean, what's the principle here, madam? Because of the great respect I have for her, I decided that this matter, I won't even respond. But she alone. And it's on the basis of a prima facie determination that President Anado, Darko, Akufo Addo, together set up the Justice Burning Committee, together with Mafosa, Agnes Doji, and the two civilians that made the recommendation for the removal of Charlotte Osei. If her decision is proper,
principle of equalization,
why is she trying to undermine the decision of the collective?
Okay.
The point ought to be made adequately clear. We are building a constitutional democracy.
Excellent.
These things will be coming up. Okay. I am happy that all these lawsuits, ECOWAS courts and others are coming in. They serve a proper precedent. But let nobody, absolutely nobody, say President Mahama had or made any comment prior to becoming president about the removal of Chief Justice. If anybody is able to show me evidence of President Mahama ever making any comment as to the removal of a Chief Justice, I want the person to put it forward. Don't go and refer to very inconsequential, immaterial issues at the basis. In any case, did anybody know, with respect, that she was going to travel with her spouse or family members?
Now, it's some 7 minutes of the hour, 10 a.m. There's a question from Dr. Kwame Asante to lawyer Kofi Bento. Says, I want to find out, says, good morning to you and the panel. I want to find out, first of all, if the specific convention or policy that was adopted by the Judicial Council, which legitimizes the decisions taken by past and the specific Chief Justice in question, is, if proven to be inconsistent with the Constitution, one that can be glossed over as a mere administrative situation.
No, even the policies you are found to have breached, even the policy. Yeah, there are two different things. The policy itself, in and of itself, was not declared unconstitutional. But even the same policy that others had used previously, she was found to have breached it.
I see.
So it's a two different things.
The answer to Dr. Asante is yes.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.